The left in America is seething over a new law to combat illegal immigration in Arizona, even encouraging protests that have resulted in vandalism, violence, and arrests. Now, the measure signed Friday by Governor Jan Brewer is intended to help combat the more than 460,000 illegals living in Arizona. Now, meanwhile, pro-illegal immigration rallies have consumed the streets of Phoenix in recent days, fueled by headlines from around the country that have called the bill shameful, even likening it to apartheid. But as the Washington Examiner's Byron York points out, opponents of the legislation probably forgot to read the bill in the first place, noting, quote, "It is the criticism of the law that is over the top, not the law itself." Now, if protesters actually sat down to read the law, they would find that racial profiling is explicitly prohibited. In fact, proof of citizenship can only be requested by the authorities during, quote, lawful contact by police, meaning the individual is already suspected of breaking a law. It's all right there in the legislation. But the left, well, they don't want you to know that. And joining me now with reaction is former Alaska Governor, Fox News contributor Sarah Palin. Governor, your reaction, first of all, to the law and the reaction by the left.
Well, thankfully, Byron York, he hit the nail on the head in summarizing what this law really is about, that there is no ability or opportunity in there for the racial profiling. And shame on the lamestream media again for turning this into something that it is not. Governor Jan Brewer did what she had to do as a CEO of that state to help protect the citizens of her state. She had to do what the federal government has refused to do, and that is help secure the borders. I think it's shameful, too, that the Obama administration has allowed this to become more of a racial issue by perpetuating this myth that racial profiling is a part of this law.
Well, this is the thing that I guess struck me about it, because I actually took the time to read it. I read Byron York's piece that we just quoted here, but yeah, it does not encourage profiling. It specifically prohibits it. Now, here's what the law does say, which is very, very specific. It basically is telling law enforcement they have the right to enforce the law. In other words, they can't go out and pick somebody out and say, all right, I suspect you're here illegally. You first have to be under suspicion for another crime. You mentioned the media. Why do you think the media fails to tell people that?
Well, this is the problem with that lamestream media throughout our country. It's not just this issue, but so many. One of the media outlets the other day just was killing me on this one, Sean, where they had a caption across their screen that said, "This Arizona law will make it illegal to be an illegal immigrant." Some bizarre type of headline like that, where it was just this illustration that they just don't get it, and that they are trying to turn this into something that it is not. As you point out, as Byron does point out in his article, this is a reasonable law. Again, that's a wake-up call to the feds, telling them it is the feds' responsibility. It is the federal government's right and responsibility to secure our borders. This is a national security issue, and Jan Brewer did what she had to do to wake them up and tell them they need to start doing their job.
The first job of government, if we're a nation of laws, is to protect its citizens and enforce the law. Now, the law on immigration is clear, that you cannot enter this country illegally. This is bills that have passed by Congress, signed into law by varying presidents. Why do you think there's been an unwillingness to enforce this law?
I think that President Obama is playing to his base on this one, and I think that's quite unfortunate, because this isn't fair to the legal immigrants. It's not fair to illegal immigrants either, who do want to, many of them want to come over here and find that pathway to citizenship. They wanting to seek the right way to get over here. This is allowing them, though, a opportunity. They're going to have to hide while they're here. They're not going to be able to seize the opportunities that they sought coming over here. So it's a lose-lose proposal all around for President Obama and his administration to ignore their responsibility and not enforce the laws that are existing. Again, Governor Brewer and her legislature, they did the right thing. 70% of Arizonans who support this law are doing the right thing in sending this wake-up call to the feds. Another thing, Sean, this is quite the illustration of President Obama not understanding the 10th Amendment to our Constitution. Here, he ignores the 10th Amendment when it comes to something like Obamacare, where he is mandating, he is forcing the state and the state citizens to take action. In the case of Obamacare, it's to purchase health care that maybe some people aren't desiring to purchase. He's making them do that anyway in violation of the 10th Amendment. And yet, not respecting our Constitution when it comes to the rights, the responsibilities, too, of the federal government, and making a state take over a national security issue like protecting our borders. He has no concept, it seems, of that 10th Amendment.
We know it's being distorted by people, obviously, that have some political motivation. What some of their motivations are, I can't read their minds or their hearts. But we have civil rights leaders, we have politicians. The terms that have been used, this is a form of terrorism, this bill. There have been multiple comparisons to Nazi Germany and Jim Crow. And by the way, I thought you'd like this, Governor. The city of San Francisco is calling for a boycott of Arizona. Your reaction to these comments?
Yeah, it is over the top, and it's really to incite and energize some of Obama's base, hoping that they'll show up at the polls in the midterm elections in November. This is one issue that they really feel that they need to grab hold of because, you know, much of the Democrat Party coming up in this November midterm election, it's a sinking ship, and they have to have a couple of lifeboats out there, and they believe that this is one. Because, again, this law in Arizona that has recently been signed, it essentially duplicates the federal law anyway, so I don't know why Obama has a problem with that. And as we've said, Sean, it is telling the federal government that they better wake up, buck up, and do their job in securing our borders.
All right, 70% of the people in Arizona, they agree with this law, according to a recent Rasmussen poll. Now, Senator McCain's going to join us in a little bit here tonight. Both he and John Kyle have both called for troops along the border. Do you think, look, we know the impact of immigration on education, the educational system, the healthcare system, the criminal justice system. So the question is, do you think that would be the answer?
Well, it's going to be part of the answer, and, you know, I think that most Americans will appreciate our senators calling for more help along the border to secure it in Arizona and elsewhere, other border states calling for more assistance, too. Again, bottom line, it's because the Obama administration will not fulfill the responsibility that the federal government has, and the states have had to then pick up and tell them what their responsibilities are.
All right, Governor, we're going to pick it up right there, by the way, and the attacks against you never seem to stop. Even now, we have one commentator saying you're bordering on seditious. So we'll get into that with Governor Palin. More with that coming up right here. Plus, Arizona.